Hello and welcome to A Novel Idea. This is the show where we interview authors. I am your host, Noelle Boc, and today we are welcoming with us Hank Phillippi Ryan. Thank you so much for coming out today, Hank.
Oh, my pleasure, Noelle. Lovely to be here.
I know, horrible weather.
Oh my goodness, it was treacherous driving here. I think drivers on the highways decide that when it's raining, they want to get where they want to go, so they just go twice as fast, which is not really the best decision.
That is actually the worst, worst of the decisions for sure. So you just have a new book out, One Wrong Word, and so I read it, of course, because I read all the books, and I just wanted to chat about it a little bit, and some more about you, of course, as well. And I watched your TEDx talk that you did, so which was really interesting to me because you say that you don't know where your books are going when you start writing them. So where did you get the idea for this book?
As I was writing it, I got another realization about where the book came from.
Ooh. What is it? Tell me.
Okay. And that's it, and that's exactly it. It's so funny that you said that, because who among us doesn't, when someone says, listen to this, we lean forward and we say, tell me,
Right.
just like you did, tell me. And it's so irresistible. And that's part of what the book is about too. How those stories grow and how we believe what people tell us and how devastating that can be. When I was 19, and I don't even want to talk about how long ago that was. When I was 19, I worked in a political campaign, and I won't use any real names, or just to protect people who were involved, except it made me realize that everyone who was involved in this is no longer with us. So that's pretty interesting. Anyway, when I was about 19, I was in a political campaign, and I was the worker bee. I was the littlest, lowest worker bee that there could possibly ever be. I was the gopher. I folded and stuffed news releases. I got the coffee. And I absolutely loved it. I was really learning about the power of government and the power of politics, the power of public opinion, although I didn't really understand that as much at the time. And I was in the center of action. I absolutely loved it. So one day I was walking down the hall and I heard two campaign moguls, campaign manager types talking, and I heard my name. And you know how we perk up when we hear our own name. So I just sort of stood there and listened. And one of them said, have you heard about Hank and the campaign manager? And I thought, what? And the campaign, let's just call him Jim. So he says, have you heard about Hank and Jim? Jim really has a massive crush on Hank. And I thought, yeah, that was my exact expression, my exact expression. I thought, what are you talking about? I've never heard of this. So I stayed there, of course, and listened. And the second man says, oh, I've heard about it. Everybody's heard about Jim's crush on Hank. And I've got to tell you that if Jim's wife ever hears about this, it's going to be a disaster. And poor little me, I'm in the hall saying, Jim's wife, disaster? He says, so what do you think we should do about it? And the first man says, well, I've been thinking about this because it could be a real public relations debacle if this got out. So I think we may have to fire Hank. And I thought, fire me? Fire me? I think Jim's your problem, not me. And I need to tell you, Noelle, that this was not true. This was just, whoever that was may have had a crush on me, but I didn't know about it. And there was nothing else about it. But it made me realize that in that moment, they were going to fire me. They were thinking about firing me, the innocent one, the expendable one. They needed Jim, but they didn't need me. And it crossed my mind that they were willing to murder my reputation. Why was she fired? People would whisper, what did she do? And I would never be able to recover from that. And it profoundly affected me. Now, nobody got fired. I didn't get fired. Jim didn't get fired. They lost the campaign, ha, 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 which I take some joy in, I have to say. But that episode sort of festered, I guess, in my heart and in my soul a little bit.
You never forgot it.
No, of course not, because I didn't defend myself. I didn't say anything. I didn't say, I overheard you, and that's just not true. I just sort of moused away. So it's interesting because in the book, this is what happens to the main character, Arden Ward. And it was such a joy for me to be able to have Arden say what I should have said, have Arden do what I should have done. And the book, I mean, it's a fast-paced, page-turning thriller. That's, you know, it's a murder mystery. But underneath it is sort of a love letter to my 19-year-old self. Sort of saying, you know, here's what you should have done, honey. Here's what you should have said. And I got to have Arden do what I should have done. And I have to admit, kind of used fiction to sort of knit up the raveled edges of my own life. So I used fiction to sort of fix the facts. And it was real. I mean, I want you at the end of the book, and I wonder if you did. I want readers to say at the end of the book, yeah, you know, that's exactly what should have happened. Go Arden. She gets her power back. I mean, it's no spoiler at the end of the book. So, and that's where it came from. What a good question.
Oh, that's a great story, and even better than I imagined to have that story. And I was.
Well, let me interrupt you to say, because that's what I do. Let me interrupt you to say that in my real life there was no murder. There were no murder.
Well, that's a relief to hear.
Yeah, thank you.
And you know, I say I try never to give spoilers to the book at all, but I mean the very beginning is not a spoiler. So it's, to me, like, I think that's even makes it more interesting to me now that I can look back at the book again with that lens on it, because Arden in the beginning, when she's put in that situation of, I am basically getting fired for not doing anything, but having a rumor spread about
fired
me.
for a lie.
Yep, fired for a lie, and she is in that really interesting position of, what are my choices here? Like, you know, where if I fight this, how is that going to look, as opposed to if I go quietly into the night and, you know, her boss is giving her a sort of, well, here's a way out for you kind of situation. Of course, that's not what it is.
I mean, it's really tough, isn't it? Because you know, Arden, and you can tell by, you know, if you put your face up to the book, you can have your face be half of the book and Arden's face be half of the book. Right. And one of the reasons we did that is to show that, I mean, try it.
Yeah, like,
I'll ask you to do it.
It's good to do that. Do like a,
yeah, you see how you are perfectly half of that face. And it's really interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And the point of that, and I hope readers will try that, and the point of that, no, I'm just going to help you put it back so it doesn't fall on the floor. The point of that is that Arden Ward is a relatable character who could be anyone.
Yes.
And I was telling you about being on book tour, and there is not a city that I went to across this country where women didn't come to me and say, you know, this happened to me. Right. Something like this happened to me. Something like this happened to my daughter. Something like this happened to my mom. You know, this sort of pressure in the workplace for women to be a certain way or act a certain way, or even to be threatening in a certain way to various people, is really terrifying, and it's really universal. So in the workplace, especially, I don't know if especially now, but now, like it always has been. And so I wanted this book to let you understand that if this has happened to you, you're not the only one. It's happened to me, and it's happened to many of us. Again, fast-paced thriller. It's, you know, it's a page-turning, riveting. I want you to miss your stop on the T as you're reading this book. But, you know, sort of now you know, as Paul Harvey used to say, the rest of the story. That all of my books wind up having a theme, and often it's truth and justice and empowerment, and that's sort of the DNA of a Hank book.
So when you say truth and justice, and the American way is like wants to come out of your mouth.
Doesn't it?
I'm like, that's not what this is. And I very much appreciated that, and that was one of the things I think I noticed the most about the book. Just as you go through it, that very, like, as the title says, like that one word or just that turn of phrase or how you say it and who you say it to can completely change what you think or who you're thinking it about as well. And you know, and Arden goes through obviously a variety of of what she's thinking, and like, you know, and the thing that I thought was also really interesting is that, you know, her job is, you know, PR fixer basically kind of position, and so she knows the importance throughout of what is being said the whole time. And you know, so I just was always thinking of that through the whole book, like oh, like that, this one word that this person said at this point, could mean anything. And that's, and you highlight that. This could mean anything, but people are going to run with this obvious meaning.
Yes, exactly. You're so right, because this is Arden's skill. She's a crisis management expert. And when something goes wrong in your life, you call her in to make it be better. When there's poison in the medication, or when somebody says, when a politician or an executive or a movie star says something untoward, makes a mistake, and how fast that goes, those rumors spread. A crisis management expert like Arden Ward comes in and knows how to mold public opinion to show the other side of the story or the rest of the story. She knows what to say to fix a mistake. When we were little kids, we would go to our parents and say, Jimmy said a mean thing to me, what do I do? And as adults, now there are people who fix our errors, fix our public errors, and that's what Arden Ward does. And in One Wrong Word, Arden Ward realizes that she needs to manage a crisis in her own life, a burgeoning scandal in her own life that's threatening to ruin her life and ruin her career just by this one rumor.
Right, yeah. I thought that was a very interesting way to thread that throughout the book and put it in some different situations.
Sure, because the book has three main characters: Arden Ward, the crisis management expert; Cordelia Bannister, whose husband has just been acquitted in a drunk driving fatality, but that even though he's been acquitted, he's still considered a murderer, and she doesn't know what to do with that. Her life is ruined. Her husband's life is ruined. Her kids' lives are ruined by this acquittal in court. And how does she come back from that? And the third main character is Monelle Churchwood, a determined and obsessed district attorney who just wants to put Ned Bannister in jail. So three strong women facing off in a high-stakes psychological cat and mouse game to prove their truth about this devastating crime. But which character is the cat and which character is the mouse? And you can hear all of them use their words to persuade people that the story is how they see it, that the truth is how they want the truth to be. That there is a truth, that we know there's a real truth, but they want us to understand the world through their eyes, and that's very powerful.
And I was surprised, because in the very beginning, right, so you have the Arden point of view and you have the Cordelia point of view, and I didn't know you were going to later on throw in Monelle's, and I thought that was really interesting. At first I was like, what is this? Why do we suddenly have it? Because it comes quite late in the book, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, we're suddenly having another character point of view. But that I thought was a really brilliant turn, because I wasn't expecting it. When I wasn't expecting it, so it was great when I'm not expecting something. And then it was nice to see, because you have that, again, because we're all up into that point, we're looking at her as kind of this, I'm going to get you kind of person, and we don't have her backstory or her why she is the way she is or why she's pursuing it. And so it was great to see that, her angle and how she was coming into the storyline as well, and then how that plays out. I'm not going to say anything, but how that plays out through the end of the end of the book. I was really pleasantly surprised by that coming in, and I thought it was very unusual to introduce a perspective that late in the book too. I was like, oh, we're going to somewhere else. What's happening? So I thought that was a really interesting and clever turn.
I want you to know, as an author, how happy you're making me, just sitting here listening to how you understood this book. I mean, that you understand the structure, you understand how it goes, you understand the theme, you understand the characters, and that's really nice. Thank you.
You're welcome. And it's funny because Ginny, our producer, is a big thriller reader, and I don't read a lot of thrillers, so it's always fun for me to read a thriller, because I see it's so hard to talk about in some ways because you can't give away anything. I was like, there's so much I can't talk about. But on the other side of it, because you have different meat in the book, is I guess the way I would put it, because it's not just, oh, here's a fast-paced plot, where we're trying to figure out who the murderer is, or whatever, in that kind of situation. Yes, that's in there, but it's this other stuff with the gaslighting and the power of women and what they can and can't be doing, and how they And as you said earlier, we all have stories or know stories of someone who presented the facts in their own particular way about something, and maybe those weren't really the facts, but the way they're presenting them is changing the story, right, or changing how people view it. I have a friend who does PR, and what he said one time at my old library, there was like a whole big thing that happened one time, and I happened to be in charge when it happened. I won't get into the crazy story that happened, but what did happen was a news with cameras showed up at my library looking to have commentary on the incident that had happened, and I was the person, that was going to have to answer for it, and I was like, and the first thing that goes through your head is like, oh, no comment. But then I thought, well, they can walk around. It's a public building. They could walk around and ask anybody anything. I don't want that either. And so I brought them. I said, like, come into this room with me. Tell me what you're going to ask me. So I have a minute to think, and then, sure. So very brief, and it was fine. But when I talked to my friend who does PR after, he was like, no, you always, like, the person who talks first is the person who controls the story. And you have to be, he's like, never say no comment if you can, because otherwise you're giving away your opportunity. And so I felt like that this book does a good job of that too, like showing, like, if you are telling the story, how that influences everything.
I'm just enraptured, and I'm in love by what you're saying, because you have lived this. You have lived the crisis management moment, and that moment, that crystalline moment when you thought, no, I'm not going to say no comment, I'm going to control this. That's what Arden Ward does for her clients, and that's what she has to do for herself. So I think that's the most brilliant thing I ever heard.
Oh, yay! So we are actually going to take our break now, so you can read a couple pages from your book, and then we'll talk some more after that.
Sounds great.
All right.
This is a part of the book where Arden Ward gets a visit in her office from her boss, Warren Carmichael. Warren Carmichael has just told Arden that the wife of a powerful client has noticed that Arden wears a perfume called Joy. And here's where the chapter starts. Arden took a moment to unpack Warren's words. She stood, uncomfortable in her own office, then sat in her swivel chair, kept the desk between them. Me, smelled of joy? That's kind of random. Well, I guess so. I wear it sometimes. My mother did too. She shrugged. Oh, gee, maybe, but classic. Ask your wife. Well, that seems like something you and Mrs. Swanson share. Joy. She uses it too, and she says she recognized it on you at the Capitol Grill that night. Arden tried to decipher Warren's expression, his growing discomfiture. One polished loafer tapped against the steely pile of her office carpeting. Okay. Arden took a plastic bottle of water from her bottom desk drawer, twisted off the top. The TV flickered above them. Joy. And she is not happy about it. About what? More than not happy, extremely unhappy, because her husband has a habit of, oh, Arden, she thinks he gave you the perfume. Apparently, this is what he does, hits on women, gives them joy. The perfume, I mean. It's like a pattern. What? And so what? She stopped. Oh, is there some woman thing that we didn't know of? Is the board appointment in jeopardy? Arden's mind raced with the possibility that their hard work would blow up because of some idiot man's inability to appreciate what he had and stop greedily wanting more. Perfume? Arden stood, came to the front of her desk, a team player. We warned him. We told him he needed to tell us everything, that we can't fix what we don't know. We told him we hate surprises, right? Warren actually gulped. She'd never seen his face so ashen. Listen, Arden, I don't like this any more than you will, but understand, the Swansons are major clients, lucrative clients, company-supporting clients. Well, I know. I brought them to you. when we met at my Saving Calico childhood leukemia fundraiser, remember? Oh, right. Warren picked up his glass, rattled the ice. I didn't think anything could make this more difficult. Make what? So, Patience Swanson thinks you and her husband have a thing, that he gave you the joy. Arden clapped a palm to her chest. She's insane. Possibly, probably, but that doesn't change anything. She demands we let you go. She demands you let me go? Every nerve cell in Arden's brain burst into flames. I have no choice. Choice? Of course you do. Arden took a step toward him, arms spread in exasperation and disbelief. Who does she think put her husband where he is today? I'm sorry, Arden. It's a situation. I don't know what to say. You don't? Well, I do. She jabbed toward him with a forefinger. You can say she's lost her mind. You can tell that woman I'm a valuable employee who brings in big bucks and new clients and will continue to do so, and who, it goes without saying, is not having some sort of sordid affair with her vile, entitled husband, who clearly she has problems with. But the problems are not me. A situation? It's my life. I'm sorry, Arden. Unless you can prove he didn't give you perfume, unless you can prove he didn't... Arden rolled her eyes to the heavens, then harnessed her outrage. I'm not going to prove one thing on this planet. Ask him, all right? First of all, I can't prove something that didn't happen. That's through the looking glass, and I cannot believe you're even asking me that. Is this what you think of me? Let me ask you that this is true? No, of course not, no. Warren lurched to his feet, turned away, not looking at her, looking every place but her. He'll deny it, so I can't force him to... Ah, I see. Warren, look at me. So you believe her, not me. Is that what you're saying? Because if that is what you're saying, Warren, I could file so many lawsuits it'd make your head spin. Hey, you're a pro. Imagine the headlines. Blame the victim? Or wait, would you paint me the vixen, the temptress? Oh yeah, do it. Please do that. I'd love that. Bring it. Warren had to know this was bull. Are you hearing me? She persisted. Are you ignoring me? Look at me. I know the rules. I know the deal. You cannot do this. I'll go to HR so fast it'll... Be careful, Arden. Warren interrupted her. Take a beat. If you sue me, well, that's not going to help you, is it? Suddenly you're a problem employee, a liability, on the defensive. It's not a good look. You know that. What I know and what you know is that it's not true. What I know is that the Swansons leave us. They'll take their billings. I'd have to fire 3 other people to make up for it. Do you want to be responsible for that? Oh, no, that's not fair. Arden wiped away the space in front of her, erasing Warren's words. Do not make me feel guilty about people losing their jobs over a lie. We won't let this get out, Warren said. It'll stay between us. Right, between us. She choked down a bitter laugh, focusing her anger. And Patience Swanson, and Arthur Swanson, and whatever gossip mongers and sycophant confidants and social media jackals. I cannot believe I'm saying this. A secret, as if anyone could keep a secret. She drew in a breath, her judgment obliterated by expanding rage. She narrowed her eyes. Unless they're dead.
You are a fantastic read-alouder.
Nice, thank you.
You do such a great job of with the voices and the character and really doing a good job of it. I was just I'm oh, you're a pleasure to listen to read aloud.
Oh my goodness, thank you. So. You know, it's funny, the audiobook of this is wonderful. It's not me reading the audiobook, but there's a wonderful actor, Gail Shalon, who reads the audiobook gorgeously. But I do read the acknowledgments in the audiobook.
Oh, right.
So if any of you are audiobook readers, at the end of the whole book, then the acknowledgments are my voice. Because, you know, there's a whole big, excuse me, village of people who create a novel. I'm just the author.
Right, of course.
And it's my joy to acknowledge those people. So I asked the audiobook publisher if I could read the acknowledgments myself, and they said sure. So I went to a studio and did the recording, and it's really fun.
Yeah, yeah, I bet it is. It's probably really fun. Now, end of the book, how we leave Arden, you sort of have the door open a little bit that maybe we would see more of Arden perhaps in another book, or is that no?
Noelle, I mean, this is a great question, and here's why it's so funny. You know the blurbs on a book where the other authors say wonderful things about the book, and it's fantastic. And here I have David Baldacci as one of them, who's one of my favorites. So when I got the email from David Baldacci with this fantastic blurb, he said, and I can't wait to see more Arden Ward. She's a fantastic series character. So I wrote back to him and I said, no, this is a standalone novel. There's only one novel about Arden Ward. I'm not planning to make it be a series. And every single place I go, someone says,
asks, really?
and so it's you and David Baldacci, Noelle, who have the same thoughts about this.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just don't know. I love the ending of this. I think the people who survive, we can understand or at least predict what might happen to them. I love that they go on after the book, that they have lives after the book, the ones who survive, at least. And I'm just not quite sure I want to return to that, but who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe the muse will come to me or something. And I'll have another idea.
Like even that very beginning that you just read is, she's such a strong character and has like strong conviction, and so I could see. So then just like you left a little open there in the end, right? So it's like, maybe this will be the start of a series.
Thank you.
But you said you have another book that's coming out soon, or you're working on it.
I'm working on it now, book 16, if you can imagine. I didn't start writing till I was 55.
Wow.
And so it's so interesting to be working on book 16 now. It's like this marvelous second half of my life and career that's happening now. So book 16 was just announced, and it's called All This Could Be Yours. And it's about a debut author with a surprise best-selling novel who is sent on a glamorous and exciting and grueling and exhausting national book tour, only to discover that she has a stalker who's trying to destroy her career and destroy the family she left back home because of a Faustian bargain she didn't realize she'd made. So it's called All This Could Be Yours.
Oh, intriguing.
I hope so.
This is good. Well, I think we're running out of our time now. So thank you so much for coming in today. I really appreciate it. It was such a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. You asked the best questions. Thank you so much. And thank you for your kind words.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we will see you again here at A Novel Idea the next time. So tune into all of our old episodes and watch out for more. Thanks.